just going to go in hard and cold. Good morning, everyone. Today we are talking about goals, and the biggest failing of goals is that sometimes they can put a cap on the abundance that you're able to generate. So we are going to cover both sides, the magic of goals, the practical side. Yandre and I are going to be sharing some fantastic case studies and testimonials and stories from how we've set goals that may or may not have limited abundance and created abundance. We're going to check in on Yandre's other project, Supernatural, and we're going to leave you with some kind of framework to pursue, pardon me, over the festive season that'll enable you to reset and recharge going into 2026 with perhaps a new frame of mind when it comes to setting goals and creating abundance. Yandre De Beer, how are you? Well, I don't have sound. I can't hear you. I can hear you, sort of. I don't know. Maybe someone in the comments could just say whether or not they can hear you. It might be me.
Can anybody let me know if you can hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. You just sound like a million miles away.
Oh, really? That's strange. Yeah. Was it fine earlier?
It was fine before we went live. That's weird. Sorry, everyone. It might just be me having technical difficulty here. It says here you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. Anyone in the crowd, leave a comment there.
Let me know how the audio sounds. If it's good, give me a thumbs up. Anybody, that'll be great. I can't imagine that something is wrong.
Maybe if I just leave the stream and come back for it in a second, it'll be better. Because I don't want to be the one holding it up. So let me just check that it's not me.
Hey, oh. Just let me know if you can hear me. Anyone? If you're watching live. This is on the other side.
And now?
I mean, you tell me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
But it's still far away.
Yeah, it's better now.
Weird. Like,
That's
good.
probably my microphone. There's no one leaving a comment. Oh, we got one person. Come on.
We had a few on, but I think it was just but
Yeah,
I'm keen
it's-
to chat. Like I think from my side, like I'm big on goal setting. I'm big on planning. I'm big on reflecting and just focusing on what you need to do to unlock new levels of growth every year. Like every year, December is a great time to reflect. And I've been actually reflecting quite a bit on the last 12 months of my life, and I always ask myself, have I done enough? Where did I waste energy? What lessons have I learned that I can take with me into 2026? What things should I avoid next year? What should I spend my time and energy on? What's most important? You see, I think most people find themselves in an unconscious loop. And what I mean by that is that they actually don't know what's important to do. So we set goals and we have things that we want to achieve, but nobody really knows when they're off track with those goals, and they don't know how to rectify when you're off track as well. So from my side, I think I've been doing a lot of reflection. I use December as a way to reflect, and then I just want to get better every single year. And I think I want to end up with this before I ask you a question, is that my biggest fear is being the exact same version of myself. So that is my biggest fear. And I mean, being the exact same Yandre, being in the exact same position mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, whatever that might look like. Okay. I think that to me is my biggest fear. 12 months from now, am I exactly in the same position?
yeah,
And if the answer is yes, then it just gives me anxiety. So every year I just want to grow on some level. December is a great time to reflect and to ask yourself, what can you improve on? So yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are. Like, do you use this time to reflect? And what do you think about goal setting in 2026?
yeah. I mean, goal setting is coming from the weight loss game. I think that might have overdone goal setting to a degree, and I've seen the good and the bad of goal setting. So I think goal setting is like a tool in the tool belt for kind of creating the life that you want. And I think that we can often obsess so much over one goal that we don't notice how much other stuff is coming our way, and how much other life we can be creating for ourselves because this one goal gets caught up. Like, I remember, yeah. So my view on goal setting is that like it is important to have a goal, and I found that writing down goals can help. And I'll talk a little bit about the theory of goals, because I think in some cases it is important to have a goal, a general goal of where you want to go and where you want to get to. But if you are too fixated on it, often your thinking can become quite narrow. And I suppose the biggest distinction for me is that what people don't think about is why they want their goal. So I've had a few people with like crazy goals in my circle. The one was a mentor on a business program I was on, and he had just sold his company, and he had a goal he wanted to have 100 companies. And I just thought, like, that is a dumb goal. Like how is, there's nothing about that goal that sounds emotionally stimulating apart from the fact that it feels like a shitload of work and probably quite overwhelming. And wow, you got 100 companies. Are they making a profit? Are they making a loss? Are they feeding your energy?
You can tell that goal is probably more ego driven.
Exactly. And then like then I had some really sick and overweight people have goals. Like I had a woman who weighed 120 kilograms, and her goal was to weigh like 60 kilograms. And I thought, like, okay, that's wild. And I suppose the reason this stuff really interested me and why I got super into it was because I found a lot of people who achieved their goals didn't feel happy. So I saw people reach their goal weight and still hate their bodies. I saw people achieve enormous financial success and still not scratch an itch. I know an entrepreneur who made like over 500 million rand for himself, and he's still like not okay. Like in my view, he's still like feels the need to be impressive. I know, like, and I was very lucky when I was like 21. I had a catering company, and I remember the Prince of Saudi, one of these sheikhs, came down, and we catered his birthday party. I think it was his 40th birthday party. And now, Yandre, I was 21 in 2005, which is quite a while ago, and this guy, this guy paid 85,000 rand, or 75,000 rand for his food that we did for him in cash. And after we paid everyone, we had 65,000 rand profit. And I remember it was all in 200 rand notes. And I was in my digs with all these other students, like we were smoking a hubbly bubbly and like the ashtrays and booze everywhere. And we just laid out like all of the money on the table because we'd never seen that much money before. And the one thing that stood out was that it didn't feel like anything. There was no stimulation, there was no joy, no sadness. I mean, it was like very neutral, but like absolutely benign, feelingless, empty experience. And I think like it was in that moment I thought like, wow, money is just not that great. Yeah, so I suppose that's what sent me on a quest to kind of like find meaning, and I did a whole lot of other dumb stuff to try and find meaning as well. But it was definitely like money wasn't it for me. I don't know if you've had a similar experience.
Yeah, look, I think when it comes to goal setting, we need to ask ourselves, who are we setting actual goals for? Are you really truly setting goals for your most authentic self, or are you setting it for other people? Are you setting it for your ego? And I think the biggest thing is self-awareness. Most people lack huge levels of self-awareness, and therefore they can never reflect. They can't reflect on whether the goals they actually want to set is truly for them or for other people, or to try and impress other people, or for the ego. And I think for me, when I set goals, I want to make sure that it's truly aligned with what I feel will be most fulfilling. Now, sure, depends on where you are in life. If you are 19 years old and you have no way to cover your bills, yes, your goal is going to be, I want to cover my bills and have some disposable income left. If you are someone who is working at a C-suite at a company who's financially taken care of with a good salary, your goals might look different. So I think everybody's goals look different, and the core of goal setting is truly understanding like why are you setting? What is the main purpose behind it? And to me, where I'm in my life, it is really about what's going to bring me the most amount of fulfillment. And we obviously own a business, a couple of companies. So V8 Media, the marketing agency, we've got V8 Capital, we invest in businesses. So a lot of the goals that we set there are logical goals, got to do with growth and revenue and profits, etc., because that's what those businesses are basically measured by. The success of those businesses are measured by those metrics. So yes, you can go and set financial goals, but the question is, are those financial goals going to bring you any more levels of performance? If it's not going to bring you any levels of performance, additional, then you might really have to ask yourself, where do I fill the gaps in my life? What gaps do I need to fill that's actually going to make me enjoy life more? And I think I'm a big advocate of finding joy in your life. You only have one life. You live 16 hours a day, then you go to sleep. And if you spend those 16 hours, how much of that time have you really find fulfillment in what you do? And there are going to be tough days. There's going to be shitty days. There's going to be challenging days. I completely get that. I'm not saying every single day is going to be ecstatic joy. But out of 365 days a year, I want to be at least happy for 80%. I want to be excited. I want to be filled. I want to know that I'm on the right path. I want to wake up excited to do what I need to do. And I think my goal is to help more people reach that level of awareness. Is really getting people to understand that happiness is truly a thing that's within your mind, within your control. But again, it's also different levels of perspective, because I understand that there's a guy begging for food on the side of the road, and his needs and his levels of happiness might look different to someone else's. But I have seen people, then again, who have nothing and are extremely happy. And I've seen people who have everything and are not happy at all. So happiness is really just a perspective. But there is a baseline of needs that have to be met in order for you to at least be healthy, to be happy. So it's almost like, yes, we all have to eat a certain amount of food and drink a certain amount of water and have a certain amount of safety to be able to get out of survival mode and actually set different goals for our lives. And I think if you are someone who at least have got a meal to eat, you've got water to drink, and you've got a house, a roof over your head, and you're sleeping in a secure way, I think this is a conversation for you. And it's like, once you've achieved that, then goal setting becomes relative to who you are as a human being. And those goals needs to, in my mind, really reflect who you authentically are, as opposed to what society thinks you need to be. And I end off by saying most people set goals for other people. They set goals for their ego and not really for themselves. So the first thing is you need to figure out who are you and what's going to bring you the most level of performance. And your goals then start from there, as opposed to just setting goals for the sake of setting goals. I want to earn 100K a month. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to have $1 million in the bank. Okay, cool. But is that really for you? Or is it for the people around you? Is that to flex? Or is that because that is what you want to do because you feel that will be a token of showing that you've lived up to your fullest potential? Like, I have big, ambitious goals. Some of them are financial. Some of them are not. The financial ones are not because of my ego. It's because of it's a way to measure my fullest potential when it comes to the shit that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about business. So indirectly, unfortunately, I have to measure the success of business in terms of certain finances and certain profits and certain metrics. So with that said, I have come to the conclusion that the goals I've set is really 100% authentically me, whether that is financial or not. And I'm now more excited to achieve those goals because I know that's going to bring me the highest level of performance, and I know I'm doing it for myself and nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, I mean that's pretty much the right direction. I can't disagree with anything you said there. I think when I was looking at the format of today, I feel like the practical stuff should come after this section, which I originally had second. But I think you're right. For people who don't have a goal yet, who don't know what their goal is, or people who are about to set goals, I feel like what you're talking about is more important. Like, before you even think about setting a goal, you have to think about why you want the goal that you want. And speaking to that guy who wants 100 companies, speaking to that woman who wants to weigh 60 and she weighs 120. I mean, I'll give you a case study. I wanted to swim from Mozambique to Madagascar, and it was an ambitious adventure goal, but and we achieved it. And I'll talk more about that a bit later. But when I actually went, I don't know if I told you, I went on a San Pedro retreat like 2 years ago, and we did an Enneagram breakdown, which is when you look at your wounding and how it shapes your identity. And basically, what I realized is that goal was actually like a way to protect myself from being insignificant, which is quite a strange thing. It's like you so desperately want to be noticed and to be of significance that I set this goal to be like unbelievably significant. And the irony is that at the end of the swim, I mean, it was a big deal and it was very cool to finish it. And it was a great adventure with my mate. I'll never swim again because I ruined my shoulder. But when we came back and there was no press coverage of our swim because we arrived when Oscar Pistorius, his trial started that week. And it was like 3 weeks before the general election. And so the news was like not interested in two oaks who just swam in the ocean. So we got like no validation at all. Went through all that effort to remain insignificant. But anyway, back to the point. So I think when people either don't have a goal or they are setting a goal, one of the things that you can do to check yourself on like whether or not this goal is important is to take a step back and think like, how do I want to feel and how do I want to be, which is kind of what you were saying just now. And like, if you think about the science of what makes you happy, which is obviously the quality of your relationships, how healthy you are, all of those things, you'll often find that the thing that most people want, which is to be beautiful and rich, are not the things that will actually bring them maximum joy. And so I always encourage people to look at how they want to feel. And for example, the woman who wanted to lose weight, this question I asked literally like more than 1,000 clients, Andre, was like, okay, I know that you have a number in your mind and that's what you want to wear, but how do you want to feel? And they would say stuff like, I just want to feel confident in a group of people. I don't want to be embarrassed about who I am. And I want to feel comfortable in a bikini. Or like, I want to feel like I belong in the room of entrepreneurs. And none of those things require a certain weight or a certain financial metric to achieve. In fact, most of those feelings come from doing introspective work. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, but like, you know, I've seen people lose loads of weight and still not feel comfortable in a bikini. I've seen people make shit tons of money and still not feel like they belong. I mean, like, I have imposter syndrome every day of my life. And and so often, if you look to the feeling and you think about like the practicalities of what it takes to acquire that emotion, you often realize that your goals don't need to be as hardcore as you think. And that might sound like you are playing a smaller game, but actually it makes your goals more tangible, less anxiety inducing, and in general, it just takes pressure off and makes you able to enjoy like the process of getting there. And often the process of getting to what you want is not the process that you thought it would be. For example, you know, chatting to mates and building up your self-worth is probably easier than working 100-hour weeks to try and make sales and build sales funnels, even though it's nice to make sales and build sales funnels, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, if I am true to my most authentic self, I think goal setting. Oh my God. Like, I think there's perspective that's bullshit. And then there's the logical mind in me that understands that you do need an end destination. But I think some people overthink goal setting. And when I say it's bullshit, I mean, some people, I used to think that I'm going to set a 12-month goal. I'm going to re-engineer that per month. I'm going to re-engineer that per week. I'm going to re-engineer that per day. And then if I tick these boxes every single day, I'm going to achieve this levels of growth every single month. And before I know it, after 12 months, I should have achieved the goal. I've realized that life doesn't always work that way. And there are people who think that it does. And maybe because they believe it so strongly, for them, it does end up being a reality for them. However, as you know me, Jono, and I'm going to speak my truth, I'm someone who believes in absolute energy. So everything is energy. I really believe that. I believe that's what Jesus came to teach us. I believe that he gave us the key to the universe, which literally is you create reality with your mind and your heart. Therefore, he says, you know, you have to pay attention to your thoughts. You have to pay attention to your heart because that creates your emotions. And all of that creates the energy that you vibrate. And that energy essentially starts attracting the reality that you prefer. That's why he said, pray as if you've already received, because that level of gratitude is what actually brings shit into reality for you. And so I was brought up in a religious household, and from a religious point of view, I actually started understanding that it's not so much about religion, but actual spirituality. And the spirituality boils down to physics, quantum mechanics. And what's interesting is that our thoughts and our emotions directly impact all the energy around us, all the molecules, atoms, protons, neutrons, subatomic particles gets affected by your thoughts every single second. And when your thoughts start affecting reality around you, energy around you, there is no doubt that your thoughts essentially start attracting certain things into your life. So if you're extremely anxious and stressed out and you have imposter syndrome, then you're going to attract people in your life that most likely is going to make you feel more inferior, because that's just how it is. That's just the law of the universe. It's the law of existence. It is the law of attraction. It's the law of energy. It's Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein and scientists that have proved all of this shit. So whether you want to debate it or not, like, you know, it's just factual evidence that you can go and experiment with if you want to study it for yourself. Now, this is where goal setting to me becomes a logical thing, but also a metaphysical, spiritual, energetic thing. Because you can get overly logical with setting goals, and you can then start to push those goals away because of the perspective that you now adapt in accordance to. So, for example, if you set your goals to a point where you go, okay, after 12 months, I want to achieve this. I'm going to break those goals down into actionables, what I have to do every single month, what I have to do every single week, what I have to do every single day. Now, the moment you've done work or tasks for a specific period of time, hypothetically, let's say you've been working for 2 months now, meaning for literally 60 days, you've done what you needed to do. For 8 weeks to 9 weeks, you've done what you needed to do. For 2 months, you've done what you needed to do. The moment it looks like the goals are not aligned, meaning that you are...
Is that my dog?
It was a bit loud there for a second, but it's okay. So the moment you feel like you are actually out of alignment with the progress that you need to make in order to achieve that goal within 12 months, your mind starts to go, I'm not going to make it. And you go, oh man, it starts to create anxiety and frustration. And it starts to create all levels of friction internally, emotional friction. And that emotional friction starts to change the energy that you produce as a human being. It starts to change your energetic field, the frequency that you produce. And because of that change energetically, the goals actually become unreachable. And it's not because they're actually unrealistic goals, it's purely because of the fact that you are energetically now not aligned with those goals. So when it comes to me, when I set goals, I look at goals that I think is possible to achieve. And sometimes maybe I limit myself in believing what's possible or what's not. But I'll say, okay, cool. We want to double our growth this year, right? So I'll go in 12 months' time, this is what I believe is possible. And as the Bible and Jesus said, pray as if you've already received. Meaning that you have to have a level of belief and gratitude that is essentially possible to happen. The moment you set a goal that you think is impossible to achieve, you've already lost. So this is where self-reflection and self-audit and self-awareness comes in. Because the question is, the goal that you're setting now is relative to your belief system. Right? So you first have to audit your belief system in order to understand what levels of goals you can set for yourself that you're going to believe. Because the faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains, right? That's what the Bible says. That's what Jesus taught us. This essentially understanding that with that belief in the goal and the belief that you can achieve that goal, that is essentially what's going to manifest that goal into your reality. As long as you take the necessary action and don't deviate into doubt. And I think for myself, when I say we can double our growth, it's something that I really need to believe in my freaking bones. The moment you believe it in your bones, it's almost like you've anchored that into your reality. And now, every single day, you just have to take vigorous action that you think will help you achieve that goal. But here's the kicker, at least from my point of view, because everything is energy, don't think that all the shit that you've planned is exactly what's going to get you to that goal. Because that is our limited perspective. Our minds have created that linear path to that goal, but your mind is only a result of all the things that's happened to you in hindsight. So your mind is almost not the best tool to use to predict how you're going to get to that goal. Because the prediction of how you're going to get to the goal exists within the framework of all the stuff that's happened to you in your life in hindsight. So the software of your brain is an accumulation of hindsight experiences and perspectives. And that then, you're using that tool that's contaminated with past experiences, that's contaminated with fears and lack and programming from parents and friends and everybody else. You're using that tool to now not only set a goal for yourself that you might be limiting yourself for because you believe that you're not worthy of deserving that goal, or it might not be possible for you. Number one. And number two, how you're going to get there is also unrealistic, just purely because of the fact that your brain is not the smartest thing on the planet, unfortunately. But so this is where I go, I need to set a goal that I truly believe is possible for myself, and then go, all right, I'm going to take action every single day in accordance to that goal, but I'm going to be paying attention to the road signs of what the universe is going to show me. Like I call God, existence, source, universe, call it what you want, but I plan the goal and what I'm going to do every single day, every single month to achieve that goal. But then at the same time, I'm receptive for any signals or messages or synchronicities from the universe that might allow me to achieve that goal in a shorter time frame. And if I am falling behind in the progress of achieving that goal, for example, by March, we should have this levels of growth, and then March comes and we 10% behind or 20% behind, I do not. I trust the process. I have put my goal into existence. I'm praying as if I've already received. I do it with levels of abundance and gratitude, energetically speaking. And now I take vigorous action in accordance to that goal. If I'm falling behind, I don't stress, I don't get anxious, I don't deviate. I just pay attention to the road signs of the universe. Pay attention to the signals. There's a phone call, there's an email, there's an introduction, there's someone in your network, there's someone who says, would you want to have coffee with me? Now, if you have a very rigid goal and you have very rigid tasks planned on a daily basis, you might go, I don't want to have that coffee now because I need to achieve this goal. I need to be doing these tasks. And then what happens is you say no to the coffee, but for all you know, that person that you was going to have the coffee with is the person who has the key to unlocking more growth in your company or more growth in your network or more could help you, who's got the knowledge or the wisdom of the steps that you actually need to take to achieve that goal sooner. So one thing I've realized is that goal setting is a little bit of a bullshit thing because it's not a linear, it's not always as linear as we want it to be. It's not an Excel spreadsheet. Go month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5. How many business plans have been programmed on an Excel sheet? And then how many of them actually reach that level of growth percentage-wise every single year? A small percentage. Why? Because that's not how life works. Life is not linear. However, what's funny is if you look back in 5 years, somehow they got close to reaching the goal. So the monthly progress, the monthly steps that you've taken might not be linear to the Excel spreadsheet that you've planned out for yourself. However, somehow when you reflect back in 5 years' time, you're like, hey, shit, we got pretty close to achieving that goal, or we did achieve that goal, but just not the way that we thought it would. And I think that is what I'm passionate about, is realizing that our minds are just too stupid to actually plan out exactly what we need to do to achieve a specific goal. However, if you do put a goal out there for the next 12 months and you believe in your heart and soul that it's possible to achieve, that you have the ability to achieve it with the people around you, and you act every single day as if that is going to happen, you pray as if you've already received, you produce that energy of abundance and success, then the universe, God, source, existence, call it what you want, is going to send you signals and messages that will help you achieve that goal. But you just need to take your blinkers off and pay attention to when those goals surface. Take action in the course.
Well, it's a good time to throw 2 case studies out there because I'm pretty sure that some people might be trying to figure out what that looks like. And I have a great example, and I know you've got one too. And mine is I don't know if you know this, but like last year I was thinking about all my different business plans, and I decided I wanted to basically get back into television. I wanted to produce TV shows, and at the same time I was a chef for like 3 years, and then I spent the next 17 years trying to get out of food. And every time I tried to get out of food, I just got called back in. So I was like working in marketing, and I got invited back to work on a wine farm, and I had to work in food. I ended up being like the GM of a catering company. Then I wrote this book, and I was in food for like a decade. And all I wanted to do was get into tech and this and that, and I kept getting pulled back in. And I'm a chef, and I've done lots of cooking demonstrations. Anyway, at the end of last year, I said, cool, now I'm going to finally leave, and I want to go and work in television production, and I'm going to start my own production company, and this is the way forward. Anyway, at the time, I had a coaching client, and I was consulting mainly to an AI startup. And that was my biggest client. And he phoned me, and he said to me, look, I know we're supposed to meet online today, but I would like you to come to where I am. And he was an hour away, and it was on a Friday, and Cape Town traffic's a joke on a Friday. And I just said to him, I'm not coming. No. And he said to me, dude, you have to come. There's this woman here who I've met. And basically he was like renting an office for the day in someone else's office. And that person who had the office had just randomly asked him in the passage if he knew a chef. And I've told him, like, outright, I'm not a chef anymore. I don't like do chef stuff. And he said to me, look, just come meet this lady. She wants to speak about some chefing stuff. Anyway, so I drive across town, sit in traffic for like all those hours. And when I arrive to go and have the coaching session with him, he's still in another meeting. So now I've driven across town. He's not even available to see me. Yeah. And I'm sitting there waiting in the foyer. And in the foyer, the other woman who he had bumped into says, oh, are you Jono? So I say, yeah, I'm Jono. She says, oh, can you just come into my office? I want to chat to you about something. I sit down in her office. She opens up her laptop and opens a Zoom window. And now, literally, from like walking into office, I'm in a Zoom meeting with her and this woman in France. Literally, and I'm like still trying to figure out what exactly is going on. And the woman in France is saying, "Look, we're filming a TV show, and we need someone to help us scout locations, and we need someone who understands the Cape Town food scene." So I'm like, yeah, I guess I can help you out. And I reluctantly accept an invitation. And it was for basically no money, just to get a foot in the door in the production thing. So I say, oh, fine, I'll do it. And it was like, I mean, what they were going to pay me was like, you know, like a coffee runner on set, basically. And I said, yeah, you know what, I'll do it. Why not? Anyway, while I'm helping these guys out, they were supposed to fly a Michelin star chef down to Cape Town to be the main star of this TV show. And the Michelin star chef gets cancelled because apparently, or just there's some stuff that goes on with him overseas. Anyway, then the producer says to me, listen, we need a star of the show. Will you be the chef on the TV show? And I say, yeah. So now I've gone from like deciding I want to be in a production company, I want to get back into TV. And within like 2 or 3 weeks, all of a sudden now I'm like the main, the not the star, but like the co-host or host on 2 episodes of this cooking show as the chef. And I got flown around, I got driven around South Africa trying to find ingredients. And then I got flown to France and I had to cook on super yachts. But to your point,
yeah,
there's no ways I could have sat down in a goal setting session and said, you know what? I want to get an international cooking show contract in the next 3 weeks. Like, I just put it out into the universe, and I'll talk a bit about how I like to put things out into the universe. But I put out into the universe that I want to get into TV production. I want to talk to people, and I want to like do things that I'm great at, and I want to make beautiful TV. And I started talking to people about it, and that's the only reason that coaching clients of mine said, "I know the guy," because I had said to him, well, I'm canceling my coaching practice. So you and I were going to get divorced, but I'm going into TV. And so he was obviously sitting there. He got asked about a chef and he said, oh, well, my coach who's just fired me as a client is getting into TV. So give this guy a call. And I know you've got a cracking example about glute.
Let me tell you, I mean, glute, sentimental, V8 media, V8 capital, every single my life I've manifested. Prayed for, call it which one. Praying and manifestation is the same thing if done correctly. So a lot of people pray from a point of lack, and that's not how the Bible wanted you to pray. Like, I'm not a religious person, but the Bible doesn't want you to pray on your knees begging for stuff. That's what Jesus says. You don't have to beg. You have to pray as if you've already received. And the moment you go, I'm putting this goal out there, I really believe it's 100% possible. Your energy starts to change, and the energy of the universe, God, again, source, call it whatever you want, something weird starts to happen. Space and time starts to bend the moment you make an actual decision about something. Like, I remember looking at my short form content recently. That's just a recent example. Like, I've never really gotten more than 3,000 views or 2,000 views on posts. And I was like, I am going to figure out short form content. It's something I'm going to do. And even if it's the last thing I figure out, I will eventually get it right. And I had this level of belief that if I commit myself 100% to this, I will get it right. Literally 30 days later, I have 10 million views across all channels on my content. And
That's
someone
amazing.
asked, yeah, it's all relative. But the point is, I literally sat there and that is proof of manifestation. That's proof of prayer. Call it what you want. But I didn't have a roadmap on how to get that right. Like I didn't know how it was going to happen. Right? I had no idea how it was going to happen. However, I just knew if I stay the course and keep learning, eventually something's going to happen. And I mean, I still had my very first company. I was 23 years old. I started running Facebook ads. I was the first person to run Facebook ads in the country. And my wife was living in Joburg at the time. I was living in George. And I was building this business, internet business. And we got engaged. And she was like, what are we going to do? Are we going to do long distance? And I was like, well, we kind of have to. I don't really have a choice. And I went on my knees, I prayed, and I said, what will be cool if someone can invest, someone who lives in Joburg sees potential in the business and buys into my company. And I didn't ask for it. Like I had a level of belief that it will happen. Like I just put it into the universe and I just said, this is what I would want to have happen. And I went about my day. I literally just started working, networking, doing what I normally do on a daily basis, trying to grow this business. 3 months later, I fly up to Joburg. I ask someone to advertise on the website. They say no. They say, I want to be your partner. 24 hours later, I had a business partner, which is the best thing that's ever happened to me, the age of 24, bought into my business, and I moved up to Joburg, and I got married to my wife. That's literally in September. So I'm married in November. So I moved up in September. We got married in November, and we were living together in Joburg. Now, there's no Excel spreadsheet that you can go and build and go, month 1, I'm going to connect with 10 people. Month 2, I'm going to connect with 10 people, and I'm going to sell them to invest in my company. And then I'm eventually going to move to Joburg. And this is exactly the time it's going to happen. This is exactly how it's going to happen. No, you don't know. So I believe that you have to put the goal out there and then just do your best, but pay attention to the road signs, pay attention to God's signals, pay attention to the universe's little synchronicities. And when you do that, all of a sudden, I promise you, your life's going to start changing. But it starts with your energy. That's what Jesus meant with as within, so without. It's energetic. That we live, everybody says, we live in a spiritual realm when we're having a physical experience. Like most religious people believe that, but yet we don't act that way. We don't act that way. We act too physical. We act too logical. I worked for this company for 4 years, and then I started watching Mad Men. I don't know if you know the show Mad Men, but it's about people in the 60s, 70s who eventually had an ad agency. And as I was watching that series, I thought to myself, it'll be so cool to have a marketing agency. Man, it'll be so cool. And before I knew it, people started asking me to help them with their social media. This was in 2017. And in 2018, I eventually resigned and said, I want to do this full time. Then in 2019, I thought to myself, we grow businesses on the back of the marketing agency. It'll be so cool to have an investment firm that can actually invest in these businesses and grow it. And I had some idea of how we were going to get there, but all I remember was just focusing on it with my third eye, call it what you want, with my mind, my spiritual mind, with my thoughts and my belief system. I was just like, that is something that can happen. I'm going to take the most amount of action possible to make it happen. However, for a long time, it didn't look like it was going to happen. And out of the blue, someone said, do you want to invest in our company? And I was like, oh man, I don't think so. It doesn't look like a great business, to be honest with you. And that business does 70 million a year 2 years later. And then there's a company, Glute, that we've invested in, 25% equity that we bought. The guy came and said, listen, are you keen to do this with us? I was like, bro, it's a very tough space. I'm not sure, but I back you. Let's do this. That company went now in 24 months, we did 200 million revenue, not profit. So, but the point is, never in my mind did I think these opportunities are going to come to us. Never in my mind did I think in 2 years we'll be able to build such businesses. Never in my mind did I think V8 Media will be this size. Never in my mind did I think our capital division would have 2 businesses in the first year that is most likely now going to be sold or, bought into to grow further. Like, it's just unreal. And I think with ourselves, we just limit ourselves. We limit ourselves with what is actually possible. And if you truly believe in the spirit, Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you. If you actually use that spiritual energy and you set a goal for yourself and you really believe it's possible, and you have the faith that it's going to happen, and you take the necessary action in accordance to that, but at the same time, pay attention to all the little messages and synchronicities and road signs that the universe sends you, and you act on that with good intent, not from a point of lack, not from a point of, what am I going to get out of this meeting? I hope this meeting is the one that's going to make me a millionaire. I hope this meeting is the one that's going to give me an opportunity. I hope this investor is going to say yes. The moment you think that way, you're putting yourself back in the lack seat, which means you're producing energy of lack, which means you're actually restricting the abundance that can come your way. So when I go into a meeting, like now, I've got a meeting at 12:30, potential jewelry business, very great business that might be looking for investment. And the partner that wants to go with us is like, hey, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to tell them what value you. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have a conversation. And if we can add value, I'll honestly tell them how and why I believe that. And if they say yes to the deal, they say yes. And if they say no, they say no. I'm not operating from a point of lack that we need this deal. I'm operating from a point of abundance that all the deals that are best for me will find me. That's just my belief. My belief is all the clients that have to be with V8 Media will be with V8 Media. My belief is all the clients that have to leave V8 Media will leave V8 Media. My belief is all the businesses that we need to invest in, we will invest in. And that doesn't mean that the businesses that we invest in are going to always be profitable. But I do know that if they're not profitable, there's probably lessons that I need to learn along the way that will make me a better investor in the future to increase the probability of the next business being profitable. And I think from my side is like, I've taken this approach where I put the goal out there, and it's obviously as ambitious as I can be, whilst having the 100% belief that it's possible without imposter syndrome and lack and doubt and not having the faith that I think it could happen. I can feel in my bones that it's a potential reality. Then I take as much action as I can on a daily basis in accordance with that goal, but I never ever feel like I'm behind, even though I do sometimes, and I have to convince myself that I'm not, because I'm still human. Happens less and less now. I'm never behind. I'm always on time. I'm exactly where I need to be. exactly what I need to have. And I know exactly that goal is going to happen. I just don't know exactly when. And whatever opportunities now come my way, it is a neutral event for me. I don't get overly excited about it. I don't get desperate for it. I just know that if that's the deal that we need to get, we'll get it. If that's the business partner we need to get, we'll get him. If that is the client we need to get, we'll get it. If we don't get it, it's because we didn't need to get it. That is not the path to the goal. And that has just become my philosophy and what I choose to live by. And funny enough, since I've lived that way, my life has completely changed. In 2021, I started living that way, and the amount of stuff that's happened to us in the last 4 years is just unreal. And that's just my take on it. And you're going to have to convince me otherwise, because I believe everything is energy, and it's the energy that you produce that actually creates the results in your life. And no Excel spreadsheet is going to help you do that unless you believe 100% within your bones that those steps are going to help you achieve that goal. Because it's the belief in itself. It's the belief that actually creates the reality. It's the faith. That's why Jesus speaks so much about faith. And he says 365 times, not him, but the Bible. The Bible says 365 times, do not fear. And that's what it's actually alluding to. Is like the moment you have a goal, you can't fear, you can't stress, you can't get anxious. You shouldn't get anxious. You don't have to get anxious. You don't have to feel stressed. Because as long as you do your part and you pay attention, you keep your energy in aligned with that goal, the goal will happen. The problem is we can't keep our energies aligned. We can't keep our energies aligned because there's a bill we have to pay and it doesn't look like we can afford it. So what happens? We stress. Now we produce the energy of stress and we push that goal further away. So my take is put the goal out there, feel it energetically, trust energetically, believe energetically, always stay energetic alignment with the goal. Do what you can, ignore reality in the meantime of any evidence that looks like the goal is not going to happen, and just trust the timing. And that the right people at the right time will enter your life to help you achieve that goal.
Well, you touched on something there without necessarily saying the exact words, but one of the things that that a lot of people probably lack in some way or aren't doing, which everyone's capable of doing, is like paying attention, which sounds quite silly, but actually what you're talking about, when you said, I have absolute faith that the right companies who need investment, well, who the right companies for us to invest in, we will, and the ones that aren't right for us, we won't. And what you're talking about there is like is really, rather than setting crazy goals and like railroading yourself into achieving them, you're talking about getting super attuned, or at least tuned in to your own energy and like the vibe in general. So you've mentioned before, like listening to exactly what your gut's telling you and listening to exactly what's happening, and sometimes not even knowing exactly what it is that's turned you off, but seeing in a meeting or in a business deal that actually like there's something not right here. It doesn't need to be like a foul play on someone's part, but the fact that like if you really listen to your body, you listen to your gut, and you tune into exactly what's happening, your like super intelligence can tell you more than what like the numbers or the statistics or whatever can actually tell you. And even though you might not be able to explain your decision or justify why you're doing it, the answer, you often know the right answer even without being able to explain it. I mean, I don't know if you have more to add to that, but that's something that I think everyone could benefit from, and that not many people are like slowing down to do and to listen to.
Intuition is what it boils down to, right? So they say the Holy Spirit's within you, and that's what guides you. Some people call it the Holy Spirit, some people call it intuition, some people call it energy, some people say it's my subconscious mind pointing in the right direction and telling me where I need to go. It's in my dreams, it's my ancestors, whatever it may be. Like whatever you call it, the feeling is the same. And it's a level of gut clarity. It's you might not be able to see it in your mind that it's the right move, but you just feel in your gut that it is. And I think that feeling is a feeling that people suppress, and they bypass it with logical thinking. They default to logical thinking as opposed to listening to that gut, that intuition, that Holy Spirit, whatever it may be. And the question now becomes is like, what does it feel like? It feels like, in my mind, a level of excitement, but at the same time, the same level of uneasiness about it. Like uneasiness in terms of, oh, is this actually possible? Like can I actually do it? It's like a weird, you get like this weird excitement, but at the same time, there's this polarizing little bit of fear challenging you whether this is actually something that you can do. And I think there's a sense of clarity that comes with it. It just feels right. But at the same time, there's a contradicting energy, because what feels right sometimes is outside of your comfort zone. So the brain goes, oh, do you really want to make that move? Like, we're safe where we are right now. Look how safe we are. You know, we're saving X, we're doing this, we're doing that. Well, do you really want to take us out of the safe zone? And your gut goes, I feel like we have to do that. Like, it just feels right. And then your brain goes, are you sure? And I think that's the debate that happens. It's like the internal debate of your gut is going, this is what I want to do. This excites me. But then your brain goes, just stay, just relax, bro. What's the rush? Just chill. Let's just chill here. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, relax, man. And I think that uneasiness is like the gut and the brain challenging each other, having a little bit of a debate. And I think it takes a high level of self-awareness to realize when the mind is actually the one trying to control the conversation. Because the mind is programmed to keep you safe. The mind is programmed to help you survive. And anything that goes against that makes it feel like it's failing at its job. So its one job is to keep you safe. And anything that's not aligned with keeping you safe makes the brain feel like it's not doing its job. And then it starts to shout louder. Don't do it. It's not going to work. What if it fails? Then you're going to be out on the street. You're not going to be able to make those payments, repayments. Don't take that loan. Don't do that. Don't partner with that guy. He's probably going to screw you over. It's shit like that that keeps us where we are. And then life goes by 12 months later and you go, oh, it's so unfair, bro. Everybody's growing except me. Yeah, because you're a slave to your mind and you're not following the God-given intuition that's been given to you and the roadmap that's been given to you after you've set that goal. That roadmap, unfortunately, isn't clear. It's not clean cut, doesn't have step-by-step instructions, but trust me, the steps appear the moment you start moving your legs. And I think that's what people don't understand. When it comes to really achieving your goals, you have to move your legs, even though the steps appear not to be there. But the moment you step, that's why they say jump and the net will appear. That's really what reality is. I saw this beautiful real quote, call it what you want, on Instagram, and it said, you know, if you want to fall asleep, what do? You first pretend to be asleep. Right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You literally get into bed, put your head on a pillow, you close your eyes, and there's a short period of time where you are not asleep, but you're pretending to be asleep because you have the intention of falling asleep. And I really believe that analogy is the key to living your most abundant and preferred reality. And what I mean by that and why I say that is because you have to produce the energy energetically of the reality that you want to create for yourself, the goals that you want to achieve. It's the energy behind the action that actually manifests the goals. It is not the action in isolation. There's a lot of people who take action on a daily basis and never achieve their goals. There's a lot of people who work 10 times harder than you and me and never achieve their goals. And the reason they never achieve their goals is because they lack the energetic alignment with the goal. They take the action whilst feeling stressed, anxious, frustrated, uncertain. It's impossible. Not going to happen. Not for you. You always get screwed over. You're the most unlucky person in this world. If anything bad is going to happen, it's going to happen to you. Those are the shit that we listen to.
Yeah.
And because we listen to those voices, we act and take the action, but the energy behind the action is not aligned with the goal. So the moment you go, I'm taking action from abundance. I'm paying this bill because I can. Oh, not like, oh man, I'm paying this bill. What am I going to do next month? It's like, damn, how fortunate am I to have money in the bank to pay this bill? That's different. The two different perspectives. That's two different energetic states. Because the moment you go, oh man, we have to pay this bill. Can we just postpone it? Can we just, kind of let it go for a little bit? Let's see if they send us a second reminder. Let's maybe pay it early next year. You're operating energetically from a point of lack. You're telling the universe energetically, you don't have the money to pay this bill. And then paying the next bill becomes harder, and paying the next bill becomes harder. But when you go, thank you, I have enough money in my bank to actually pay this bill. How grateful am I to have a business that's producing enough money to pay the bills that needs to be paid?
Did I ever tell you about so the pretending to sleep thing just reminded me of method acting. So I used to tell people who were trying to lose weight to like imagine what it would be like and start like acting like a thin person, because and so like acting like a rich person, acting like a whatever, because a lot of people who come from a place of lack, they actually resent the people who have what they want. So for example, like the classic thing that I had with weight loss clients was like they resent thin people, and they're actually quite judgy. They're like, the first thing they'll say when they see their friend who's overweight is like, underweight, who's like lean, they'll be like, oh, she looks sick. Or like when they talk about their friends who are rich, I remember John Sonne, he once said, if you want money, you actually have to fess up and love money instead of hating all the people who have it. And then start like behaving like someone who has it. But my example is actually slightly different. So I don't know if I told you, but before our swim from Mozambique to Madagascar, I actually got really sick. So I trained for 6 months and I got really, really sick, and I overtrained. And then I didn't train for 2 months. So we finished training in December. I remember just crashed, and I had like insane adrenal fatigue and whatever. And then we only started swimming on the 28th of February. And so I always joke I had a super long taper because I had only swum 1 kilometer between December and the 28th of February when we got in the water and swam. And just for context, we swam 19 kilometers a day for 24 days. So it was no joke. That was real swimming. But what happened was I remember I wanted to postpone the swim because I was like not feeling great. And I still have a video of me talking to my swimming buddy where I'm like sick and I'm like, you know, like congested and everything, trying to say, no, like I'll do it on a sup or something. And he, to be honest, he like got it over the line. He made it happen in that last little stretch. And now I'm sitting on the boat and I haven't trained in 2 months. And now I'm going to have to swim. And so we're on the boat going up to northern Mozambique. And I'm basically now I have to prepare myself somehow to swim 460 kilometers. And I realized like there's no way out of it. I can't like not do the swim. And we're all very seasick because the boat's like going over these huge swells. So we end up like lying on our backs, just being seasick for 5 days. And in that 5 days, during that time that we were waiting to get to our launch position, I just decided, okay, like there's no way out of this. I'm going to have to fucking get my head in the game. And so Thane and I, we developed this routine where we were going to like hypnotize ourselves into believing that we were the world record breaking swimmers. Now, Thane already had a world record under his belt because he broke a world record with Rake Nettling in the Masters swimming. I did not have a world record under my belt. And so I lay on my back and imagined myself swimming every single swim of every single day, which was like every hour of every swim of every day. So 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour every day for 24 or 5 days at the time. We didn't know we were going to do it in 24. And then tapping out like every hour that I was going to swim. And I did that like 5 times a day to visualize touch like every single hour of every swim. And so I ended up doing that 5 times a day for 5 days. So by the end of that 5-day period, in my mind, I had swum the swim 25 times.
Yeah.
But then we did some other shit too, which was like quite unusual. So we spent 5 days walking around in Speedos on the boat. And like, I'm not like a Speedo wearing guy on the beach, you know, I'm more of a baggies type of dude. And so we were in our Speedos and we lay on the deck under the sun to get deliberately sunburnt so that we could imagine what it would feel like to lie in our stomachs, like in the water all day in the sun, to just feel the sun on our backs. And I also shaved my entire body because when I got on the boats, I had hair probably longer than this. And I wanted to look like a professional swimmer. So when I looked in the mirror, I wanted to see someone different and someone who looked like the type of person who could swim from Mozambique to Madagascar. So shaved my head. I even shaved like the hair off my arms and off my legs and off my chest. I was using the captain's hair shaver, and he was like, we're going to have to burn that thing and throw it away because I didn't actually say you could shave your body with it.
Well, no, you do that on a daily basis now still anyway, but it's okay.
so and then I can't remember, there were a few other things that did, but basically after those 5 days, if you had seen me on day 1 when we got on the boat and you saw me on day 5, you would have seen this guy change from like this white, pale, I don't know, maybe like slightly overweight, like office guy, to being this like shaven, sleek, like beautifully tanned, oiled up, like athlete in a Speedo. And you would see that guy and you'd think, yeah, he could probably swim from Mozambique to Madagascar. And what's interesting is when I got in the water, the one thing we said is like, look, we're going to go through a lot of pain. We're going to damage our bodies. And but it's just pain, okay? And what's interesting is that whole swim, I was so headstrong and my mind was so clear that we were going to do it, that there wasn't one moment that we encountered currents and sharks and all sorts of stuff. I never thought for a moment we weren't going to finish. But Thane, whose body is perfect, like he is a male supermodel and he's a record-breaking swimmer. The guy's like a bloody Adonis. On day 2, he had a shoulder like niggle that was so bad that he had to swim with one arm. And he swam for like a few Ks with just like one arm because he was in so much pain. And I was like absolutely rock solid. I had like this mind over matter aura for those 25 days. And like, you can look at my swimming record. I didn't even swim at school. And then I broke this world record with that. So it was like the power of belief, the power of intention, and the power of like self-hypnosis that just reprogrammed me to think, okay, now I can do this thing.
Dude, I think there's a book called Mind to Matter. I don't know if you
Yeah.
actually haven't read it yet. It's a great book. I think I suggest everybody reads it. It really actually explains how your thoughts actually affect your reality and how believing in yourself starts to attract a reality where that thing that you believe actually becomes the thing that you experience. And I mean, if you speak to any athlete at any level of success, Ronaldo, Messi, Verstappen, Michael Jordan back in the day, LeBron at the moment. I can name athletes for days. If you go and speak to any of them and go, have you ever thought that you will not reach this level of success? They'll go, hell no. Hell no.
Yeah.
99% of them will tell you, I always knew, I've always wanted this, and I always believed it's possible. And I think that's where the question comes in. How bad do you want it? Can you actually push all the negative thoughts aside when you're on the pursuit of the goal? Because the moment we take that first step, our minds go, oh, did we take the right step? Is this where we need to be? Where do we need to be now? Where do we need to move next? Is this the right place? How long can we stand here before we need to take the next step? Is this really safe? Are you sure this is safe? And I think you cannot take the next step. This is impossible. You're not going to be able to do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's literally that inner talk that keeps us stagnant. And I've reached a point in my life where, you know what? I'm just like, fuck it. Like, really, I'm just taking the steps, having the faith that it will work out for me. And I have this ignorant level, almost like naive level of faith.
Yeah.
Childlike faith, where I like everything happens for me all the time. Nothing in life happens that is not for me. Everything that happens 100% for me all the time. It serves me constructively as long as I am open and receptive of the messages in front of me. That message will serve me, whether it's a lesson, whether it's a person, whether it's an email, whether it's a networking event, whether it's a coffee. Somehow everything is connected and synergistically, energetically aligned. The synchronicities are there on a daily basis. And I think, I promise you now, the moment I say I want to do something, I start to get little signs. Like little signs start to happen. The moment I went, we want to start an investment firm, we actually invested in a small little jewelry company and it failed, that nobody really knows about. And then I was like, oh man, never again. This is not a path for us. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. And then another opportunity came along 6 months later. And I was like, nah, we've burnt our fingers. We're not doing this again. And then something inside of me just said, give it a go. And then that became our fragrance business. It's now doing 70 million a year. And it's like, okay, well, how many opportunities have we actually said no to because our own minds are actually just limiting the abundance that's meant for us?
Yeah.
And when you actually start to act and live in faith every single day, every single action I take is constructive. Every single thing I do, every single task, every single email, every single serves me in some way, shape, or form. If a client leaves, it serves us in some way, shape, or form. Why? Because we can learn from it. We can respectfully separate. We can learn from our lessons. They can learn from theirs, and we can get better as an agency. That's how we've become one of the best agencies in the country. Is because we've lost so many clients. You know what I'm saying? It's because we've worked with over 600 businesses. But it's through the repetition, you start to learn, and through the learnings, you actually start to get more experience. And through that experience, you actually become better. So in my mind, I'm like, yeah.
No. I was just going to say, like Michael Jordan, he missed more shots than anyone else in the NBA in his career.
Yeah,
but that's because
the world record holder for most title wins or most championship wins is the person who missed the most amount of shots. Now, same with us. I make a joke about it. It's like, we are the best agency because we've lost the most amount of clients. And it sounds polarizing, and that's how it is. Like even Roger Federer said, I'm the best tennis player. Or when he was the best tennis player, he said, do you know how many points I've won? You know, I've won 80% of my matches, but I've only won 54% of my points. Like, it's not winning every single point that matters. It's winning the points that matter.
Yeah.
And I think that is how I started looking at life. Is like, it's winning the things that actually matter as opposed to winning it every single day in every single way that you think you should. And I think when you live in accordance to that, and you're accepting of all the failures that will come, if you're acceptant of all the lessons that you'll learn, of all the challenges that will come your way, and you open, paying attention, learning the lessons, getting better, eventually it's inevitable that you will reach the goal that you set out for yourself, as long as you keep believing that it's actually 100% possible and meant for you.
I want to talk academically about one of the things you just mentioned, where you said when you set an intention, you start to see signs. And there's actually a biological thing happening there, which I think a lot of people think is like spiritual. I think that they all work concurrently, to be honest. But there's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, or the reticular activation system.
The RAS system.
And the RAS, yeah. And like how it normally works is like right now I've got kids running around in my house. You might be sitting at your desk and you can hear like there's murmur in the background, there's traffic, and your nervous system uses the reticular activating system to focus your senses on certain things. So for example, you're listening to my voice and your nervous system is shutting everything else out to focus on my voice. But it works on a greater scale as well. So for example, I'm sure everyone watching this will have at some point in their life bought a new car. And when you buy that car or you're looking at that car, like we bought a Ford Everest recently. And when we started looking at that car, we were driving around town and like we had never noticed before, but there were just like Ford Everests everywhere. Everywhere we looked, there was like a Ford Everest going on. And we're like, wow, geez, everyone's got this car. But it's the experience that everyone has with their cars. And that is your reticular activating system honing your senses to notice things that feel important. Now, your problem is your brain doesn't know what is important and what isn't. It just knows what's current. So, for example, if you say, geez, everything sucks, then your brain will be like, sucks, okay, and it'll start like pointing out everything that sucks to you. And so when you talk about setting an intention, the same way I mentioned, I want to get into TV production, all of a sudden, your senses, they start, the signs present themselves, but the irony is the signs were probably always there, actually. But because your reticular activation system has been primed by you saying, like, this is what I want, and this is what my intention is, all of a sudden, your nervous system starts going, hey, remember, Yandre, like, you said you wanted this thing. Well, there's something that relates to the thing that you mentioned. And then you're like, oh, my word, the universe is presenting these things to me. And I think it does go both ways, by the way. I think it's holistic. Yeah.
100% believe in that. And I think, remember, like when you start to see more of those signs, you start to act on more of them. And because you've acted on them, there's more opportunities that obviously starts to presenting itself, because you are now at a different stage after taking that action that you probably wouldn't have taken, because you wouldn't have seen it if you didn't put the intention in the first place. So it's almost like the moment you make the attention, you start to see the opportunities, and then you start to act on those opportunities, and then more opportunities come along. But the moment you go, this was the wrong opportunity, then guess what? There's most likely is going to be a sign that the next step will also be the wrong one, because now you're in the adapted belief that this is wrong, and doubting my decision-making process. And how do I know I'm making the best decision for me and for people around me and all that kind of stuff? And I think that's why it's ROI positive to have delusional faith. I really believe it. It's ROI. I have no objective evidence, at least in my reality, to prove to me that having inherent faith, immovable faith, childlike faith is not ROI positive, because it served me so well. And no matter what action I take, even if I make the wrong decision, I still believe it'll work out for me. And funny enough, I look back 2 years later, I'll be like, oh man, I'm so glad I made that mistake, because now I know exactly how to handle the situation. So somehow it just comes around and it actually serves you. And I believe everything in life serves me in some way, shape, or form. You can't convince me otherwise. Good luck with anybody trying. And I think at the end of the day, it's like, I just believe I'm on the path that I'm meant to be on. I believe that the goals I have is authentically to me. And I think it's the things that will bring me the most amount of fulfillment. And those goals are creating abundance for those around me and myself. And I want to do it in the most fun way possible. That's my goal. My goal is to build cool shit with cool people. Obviously, I have huge ambitions, and some of them are financial, but at no means do I want to sacrifice the road of fulfillment to get there. So I have a saying that I don't want to make money if it's not going to be fun, if it's not going to be fulfilling. And I really believe that 100% with my whole life. Like, if there's an investment opportunity that can give us 10x tomorrow, but it will be the worst time of my life, and someone will say it's going to be 12 months of hell, you're going to hate every single second of it, but at the other side of it, you will become a multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever it is, I'll be like, no, thanks. I don't want to do that. I want to live my life in what brings me fulfillment, and I want to make my money in the way that I enjoy, and that is fulfilling and constructive to the people around me. And I'm going to try my best in order to achieve the goal in that way. So for me, it's not about the goal; it's about how I achieve the goal. And that's what I've actually set out. That's my new belief system. I think maybe as you get older, your perspective on reality and goal setting starts to change. With mine, where I usually used to have a goal and I would sell my soul for that goal. Now, no. It's the goal is just a byproduct. The journey to the goal is the actual destination. And it's like a bumper sticker cliche quote. I know it sucks. Like it's something you read on a lunchbox tin or something. But it's like, at the end of the day, it truly is how I feel. I feel the journey is the most fulfilling part. And I really believe that with my whole heart. So therefore, I have ambitious goals, but I pick the most fulfilling journey. And I believe the journey to those goals will be the most fulfilling possible. So every single day when there's a challenge, I go, great. Because if we overcome this challenge, there's going to be a level of fulfillment and excitement as a team that's going to make me even love these people even more. And it's going to bring us closer together. So therefore, bring on the challenges. Bring it on, because I know it'll be super fulfilling when we overcome them. And I think that is just where my mind is at when it comes to setting goals and trying your best to achieve them.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like everything you said is gold, and I can't disagree. My parting comment for the day really is if you could summarize this YouTube article and get notes, then do that. But also, as you go into the festive season, this isn't a lecture to you, Yandre. This is more like to everyone listening. I would say that the most important thing this festive season, if you are prone to setting goals without thinking about them, is to sit back and take some time to just observe your thoughts, to give some thought to why you want the goals that you want, and think about what it is that's going to make you feel the most fulfilled and most satisfied, and set next year's goals from that place. Come out with something that's going to bring you joy. What's going to make you super happy, what's going to, like the science says, the people at 50, what the strongest indication of longevity is the strength of the quality of your relationships at the age of 50. And so if you want to live a long and healthy and happy life, it's much more about the relationships and the people you're in there with. So when you set your goals, think about what it is that you want out of life, not in 10 years time or 15 years time, but what you want out of life like right now, and set goals from that place.
100%, man. I agree with that 100%. I think December is a great time to reflect on yourself. I believe everybody needs to be authentically themselves. I think 90% of people are probably not authentically themselves because they don't want to be, because they think if they are, people will not like them as much, or they would lose their job, or they would, get some form of criticism. And therefore we stay in this fake reality trying to fit in. I just think that I'm unapologetically myself. And since I've been living that way, my life has changed, because now I'm producing energy that's actually authentic to me. And because it's authentic to me, that energy is more powerful. And because that energy is more powerful, I start to attract a lot more things that are aligned with the goals that I've actually set out for myself, because those goals are authentically mine. So the first thing you need to do is reflect and really decide, is this authentically a goal for me, or is this a goal for something else, or is this a goal for the ego? And I think 90% of people probably set goals for the ego more than anything. They go, if I can get this much, I can buy that car, I can impress that girl, all the chicks are going to love me, I'm going to look good. And when you start to do that, you're actually achieving goals for anybody else but yourself. But if you go, I really want to buy that car, because since I was 6 years old, I had a poster of that car on my wall, and it was one of the most beautiful cars I've ever had, and it will be a token of my appreciation to the journey that I've walked in order to get here. It will be a token of appreciation for the challenges that I face. It's a token of appreciation to me putting in the effort and actually reaching my fullest potential. And this is a symbol that I've reached my full potential. Then by all means, go and buy that car. But the moment you buy that car to impress other people, the energetic value of the event is now completely different. And therefore, I think it just becomes unfulfilling. And I think fulfillment lies in starting by understanding who you truly are and what you actually want out of life. And then you can work from there. And I think so many people work the other way around. So yeah, that's my parting comment too. Much love to everybody. And thanks for joining us on the live today.
Yeah, everyone who is taking a break over Christmas or the festive season, I hope you have an awesome time reflecting and reloading for round 2. So keep it real, keep it tidy, and have a good evening. We'll see you soon.
Much love, guys. Have a good one. Bye.